My name is Seneca Bing, and I am the chairman of the hashtag CAP committee. And we are really excited to have you with us this evening. I did see that our chapter president, Ms. Valerie Tarver, has joined us. So I wanted to know if you wanted to bring greetings before we get started. I know you were probably just trying to slide on as a participant, but we want to make sure that we acknowledge you. So
Thank you very much, Seneca. Thank you, everyone, for joining this evening's program. And as mentioned, I'm just person in the back of the room observing this evening to learn about one of our signature programs, which is focused on college access preparedness. So I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. So, if you are here this evening, you are here for the What's Next Once You're Admitted workshop. And we will get into that a little more. But one of the things that I did want to say, we always like to give you the disclaimer that this session is being recorded. And so, if you prefer not to be on video, we want to make sure that you are able to turn off your camera, but just know that this is being recorded. All right, I'm ready for the next slide, please. And then we want to go over just a few Zoom etiquette details or rules. We've all been on Zoom for a while now, students included, so I'm sure that you know all about it. But we want you to introduce yourself in the chat and let us know what school you're from or something about yourself. If you have thought about what college you want to go to, let us know that because we want to hear. We also want you to use the raise hand feature if you have a question. We do want to hear from you though. We don't want you to feel like you can't ask any questions. As you'll see, we have a wealth of knowledge here from this committee. And so you can definitely ask any questions both in the chat, but also unmute yourself to be able to ask those questions. Of course, keeping ourselves on mute because of the background, we never know. I have children, so they may pop in. We want to keep ourselves on mute and then have fun and stay engaged. Again, this evening is for you. Is to ask questions in a smaller forum so that you can get your questions answered. And then I'll give you just a little bit of information about hashtag CAP. So our hashtag CAP stands for College Admissions Process, and it's a signature program for Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. We are Alpha Sigma Omega chapter, but this is an international program. So all of our chapters all over the country are focusing on our students in helping in all of the different aspects of facilitating the college admissions process. So that's searching institutions, submitting applications, completing the enrollment process. And you're here tonight for a transition type of conversation. So you're thinking about now you're transitioning from high school to college. So what you need to do in that space. And then through CAP, again, we just want to improve the trajectory of the lives of the young people, the talented young people such as yourself, so that you can have that foundation for a positive, productive, and fulfilling life. So before we move on to our program this evening, I did want the hashtag CAP committee to introduce themselves. I'll just tell you really quick and then I'll turn it over to everyone else. I am Seneca Bing. Again, I'm the chairman. In my day job, I work for Columbus City Schools and I was a high school counselor for a long time. So I was on the other side of the desk, and then you hear from our other committee members who are on the college side. So I'll stop talking now.
I'll go ahead and go. My name is Nancy Gibson, and I'm a member of Alpha Sigma Omega chapter and part of the hashtag CAP committee. But in my day job, I'm a senior associate director of admissions and director of multi-ethnic admission at Denison University. I'll turn it over to Dr. Toyce Haig Palmer. I don't think we can hear you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Glad that you all are here with us. My name is Dr. Toyce Haig Palmer, and I am the Director of Student Support Services at the University of Toledo. Nice to meet you all.
I'll go ahead and go. My name is Lorraine Pennyman, Director of Leadership and Engagement in Fisher College of Business at The Ohio State University.
Hi, I'm Tammy Murray. I'm a software engineer for Accenture.
Hi, I am Tara Johnson. I am a post-bac student at Central State University, and I am at Central State University getting my licensure to teach. I am currently doing my student teaching at Columbus North International High School. And in my previous life, I was a bursar or over cash management at several universities in the United States.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lakita Courtner. My day job is I'm the provost at Valor Christian College, and thank you for being here.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephanie Anson Bland, and I work as a principal at Columbus City Schools.
Very good. I think that's all of us. So I will turn it over to Dr. Tracy Haig-Palmer.
Thank you so much. So before we get started, let's briefly go over the agenda. So you know what we're talking about today. Again, this workshop is what's next. You're finally admitted to college. So what do you do? And today we will talk about, or this evening, we'll talk a little bit about some important next steps, some deadlines, give a little taste of academic preparedness, financial aid preparedness, and then go into a lot of the most important stuff that students like to talk about, student life. So I will start us off with this next slide here. And congratulations, you've been accepted to college. Whatever college that is of your choice, you have been accepted. So what's next? So let's talk about some of these deadlines. Once you get accepted to college, it's most important that you immediately access the college portal. And what that is the place where you create your email password. And from there, that will be the place that all the official university business that the university will communicate with you. So it's important. Sometimes students like to take their university email and have it linked to their Gmail or another email account, and that's fine. But I would encourage you, and I think, of course, many college professionals will encourage you to always keep that university link. Check your mail, check your email often and daily. There's a lot of important information there. Also, in your college access portal, where you create your password, you'll get information about orientation scheduling. When it's time for you to take your orientation, any testing that's available that you have to take. There's access to your advisor. It's important that you also check that. And also, it's important that you also find the area where you can review and confirm your financial aid package. That information is also in your portal. You'll also find your housing assignment, perhaps your meal plan, if you decide to get a meal plan. If you are a student that's going to be living off campus, that housing information still is important there, because most of the times your meal plan is connected to that. So you want to pay attention to that. And then also, finally, some additional forms are there. Your FERPA forms, your health insurance information. Perhaps you want student health insurance, perhaps you do not. At either case, you still will have the opportunity to check yes or no, and you need to complete that form. Because I think some institutions are a little different, but some of them will automatically enroll you into health insurance, even if you do not elect to be enrolled. So it's very important you look for those forms and fill that out. Also, there's a form or information about legal services. A lot of times students might miss that, and they don't check that they want legal services. And perhaps maybe you do. You need to also elect that. There are some other forms or other information, like I know I've been at institutions where there's a, what they call a green initiative. The institution has participated in that, and so there's a fee for that. And so students have to check if they want to participate or contribute to that fee, yes or no. And if not, you're automatically charged for that. So I don't know, committee, are there any other forms that I've missed or information from your perspective at your different institutions that students can be aware of that's in their college access portal?
think that's all of them.
Okay, great. So again, these are some next important steps and deadline. Please make sure as soon as you get your congratulations letters, because you'll get those. And in that letter, you'll have information about logging on, creating your password for your access portal.
Okay, so the next piece is the academic preparedness. So I'm going to go a little bit more into the next steps of what you do once you get into your portal. So orientation is really your first step, and that's the most important piece to kind of get welcomed into the institution and find out, who is your group, how to schedule classes, all of those different things. What's really important with orientation, and actually going back to the portal, this is for you, for students. From this point, institutions are going to be contacting and communicating with you, not your parents. So you really want to make sure that you as a student are checking that email, scheduling the orientation, and following up. That's why it's important just to really, set a schedule and a pattern of how frequently you're checking that email. A lot of orientations this summer, depending upon the institution you're admitted to, are going to be virtual, and some are going to be face-to-face in person. So you'll want to check with your institution on when you're able to schedule orientation and schedule it accordingly with their whole calendar. Some orientations that take place face-to-face may actually be overnight institutions where they want you to stay on campus. Most institutions right now, because of COVID, will actually have more of a virtual setting, but it's really an opportunity for you to get to know your academic advisor, do placement testing, things of that nature. The academic advising piece is a strong point for orientation and throughout your academic career. You all have your high school counselors that have been successful and have helped you get to this point. An academic advising relationship is a little bit different, where it's a little bit in your best interest to be proactive. And orientation is the best time for you to meet with your advisor, to get scheduled for your first term of classes, and to develop that relationship. You also want to make sure when you're scheduling classes that you're looking at a balanced course schedule. You're looking at the different days, asking your advisor some really detailed questions on what requirements do I need to complete for the first term and moving on, setting up a whole plan. Some institutions will have a first semester course that all students have to take, or if you're in a particular program, you'll do extra things during orientation to get you acclimated to meet with your advisor, or pieces of different programs. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the co-curricular section. Part of orientation for placement testing could include English, could include math. It can be automatic depending upon your ACT and SAT scores. We're in COVID situation right now, so a lot of institutions have waived those ACT and SAT scores. So they may have you take a university level placement test to help you get aligned with where you need to go for your math or English. If you have any type of IEP from high school, that does not carry over, and we'll talk about that in a moment as well. But the orientation and advising are going to be your first two touch points of getting you acclimated into your new institution. Next slide.
Thank you, Lorraine. I will talk to you about disability and accessibility services. So as Lorraine mentioned, your IEP or your medical accommodation does not necessarily follow you when you get to college. What does that mean? That means they're not notified that you've had an IEP. In high school, you're kind of going through the system, maybe your counselor notifies the next teacher. At this level, that does not happen. So it is up to you to seek the information out on the website of how to actually request the accommodations. So what does having a disability accommodation mean? Well, you'll typically find it termed as learning support accommodation. So you want to look for that on the website. At the collegiate level, we do not modify the curriculum. You received an accommodation. So that means nothing is changed. You complete the same work that every student has to complete. You may have additional time if that is what your accommodation would require. So who is eligible? If you've had an IEP in high school, if you have a medical condition, things that are documented, the typical process is that you will meet with the person who's over accommodations. I'll tell you my process. The students will apply for it or request it. I will schedule a meeting with the student, not with the parent, with the student. If the student wants the parent to be involved, they can, but my meeting is with the student. We will discuss what was your IEP in high school, what services did you have that assisted you, and then we'll have a discussion about what services we can provide that will help you to be successful at the institution. And then that information is then passed on to all of your faculty members. That is not anything that's public knowledge. You may receive a letter, it may be an email that goes to the faculty member, but that's how it's passed on. It is then up to you to have that conversation with the faculty member. And sometimes it's just reminding them when it's time for a quiz or an exam that you do have an accommodation. Some schools may have a student success coordinator or someone who works on the student affairs side who will connect with your faculty member for you. So you just need to find out what their process is. But in order to qualify, you will typically have to complete some type of request form for an accommodation. So have your IEP, have a copy of your IEP with you, or have an electronic copy that you can access, as well as your medical documentation. And that is what's typically reviewed. So to find out more information about that, I would look under maybe academics on their website. If they have a student support services area on the website under student affairs. So you should have information in your acceptance packet because it is a required support service. But if it's not, you should be able to find that on the website. So the one thing I would encourage you to do if you have had accommodations in high school is please do not choose to not get that service when you get to college. My experience has been students decide that they do not want the support, and then when they run into challenges, they will mention that they had accommodations in high school. So that is something that an institution is supposed to provide for you if you have an IEP or a medical condition that requires that. So please take advantage of that support service. But remember, it's not going to happen automatically. You must request it and have your documentation ready. Be prepared to have a meeting to possibly discuss what can assist you. Be honest about what helped you in high school, and then follow up and utilize the accommodations so that you can be successful. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tara Johnson, and this is the money portion. Money, 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 money. This is what I would tell my parents and my new students when they would come to the various universities that I worked at. I would tell them that financial aid and the bursar or cash management are two separate offices. And it's like going to buy a car. When you go to buy a car, you've picked out your car. My car was Central State University. And when you went to go pay for your car, they would ask, how are you going to pay for it? The bursar or cash management office is basically where you pay for your car. If you are going to get a loan for the car, you would essentially go to a bank or the financial services of the university. That's financial aid. The bursar's office does not really care where you go to get the money. They just want the money or your bill paid. Other thing is that you are the legal owner of the car. This is your bill. And the same way goes for universities. This is your bill. So when it comes to financial aid, it's your responsibility to Make sure that your financial aid is in order. It's your responsibility to make sure that your loans have been signed off for. And if you have scholarships, certain scholarships want you to do a thank you letter to the person who gave the scholarship. You have to, in order to get the money, you have to do the thank you letter. Those are things that are your responsibility, not your parents. We will be contacting you if there is a bill at the end of the semester that's due. That's your responsibility. So, understanding financial aid. There are different parts to financial aid. You have merit-based scholarships, which is based on some type of ability that you might have. Then you have a scholarship that might be academic, or you might have another scholarship that might be sports related. Then you have grants. Grants you do not have to pay back. Loans you do have to pay back. There are federal loans and then there are private loans. My advice is to go with the federal loans because the interest rate is pretty stable and it is not adjustable, where a private loan, they can do anything with your interest rate. The interest rate is what you pay in order to borrow money. The interest rate is what you pay to borrow money. So if you take out a $5,000 loan, you are going to pay 1% interest on it. That 1% interest is like $1 a month to borrow the loan. So over time, that loan is going to add up. Check your financial aid on a regular basis to make sure that your financial aid has transferred to your bill. That is your responsibility. That is not financial aid's responsibility. That is not cash management or the bursar's responsibility. That's your responsibility, because in order for, if you have financial aid that hasn't transferred over after a certain period of time, that means there's something that you still need to do. You, for your government loans, you might need to do your entrance exam or an exit exam. If you have a scholarship, like I said, they might ask you to do a thank you note to the scholarship awardee. So make sure on a regular basis in that same portal where your email is, your academic information, your disabilities information, if you have disabilities, where flyers are, all that information all is in that portal along with your financial aid and along with your bill under cash management or the bursar's office. Next slide. So if there is a financial aid session, attend that financial aid section. Also, please know and understand that the financial aid office does not give out all scholarships. They don't come from that university's financial aid office. For instance, my uncle has a scholarship that goes to Central State, Ohio State, and that's it. So if you're going to Wilberforce University, you can't get my uncle's scholarship. But if you're going to Central State or Ohio State, you can. If you are doing a UNCF scholarship goes to private historically Black colleges and universities. Central State University is a public institution, so they don't have UNCF. So those are things that you have to be careful for when you're looking at private institutional, non-institutional aid. And please know, for instance, the sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, has scholarships that can be given out. Even our chapter has scholarships. So don't just look at the university for scholarships, look at everywhere. It's a national thing. Get familiar with your FAFSA. That is done every year and is due on October the 1st of every year. So if you've done your FAFSA for the 21-22 school year in October, of 21, this October, your FAFSA will be due for your 22-23 school year. And it's a first come, first serve basis. So if you have Pell, Pell, OEG, Pell and other government aid, that's usually given in a pot of money to the university. And if it's a first come, first serve basis. So the first person to get it, especially work study is get your FAFSA in as soon as possible so that they can award you work study. Now, there are universities that have their own college work program. So if you don't qualify for work study, go to the financial aid and say, I need a job. There might be departments, especially in your major, that might have extra money. So for instance, if a institution is given a grant and they're allowed to hire students on that grant, go to that department or go to financial aid, because financial aid will say, well, the department will say, we need student workers. And that's the financial aid's job, is to get those student workers. So go do that. Make sure that you follow all deadlines. If there's a scholarship and it says it's due on March the 5th, don't turn it in on March the 6th, because they're not going to take it. If there is a deadline for FAFSA, it is October the 1st. It's due on October the 1st. Follow all deadlines. Next slide. And I think it's.
Yep, it's back to me. Thank
Okay.
you. That was great. So part of making campus home, leading in from financial aid into really making the institution a part of your college journey. There are actual programs that we encourage you to sign up for and register for. Sometimes you can sign up for them at orientation. Sometimes you can sign up for them when you are applying to university or when you get to campus. It doesn't hurt to sign up for a program that's going to give you extra support for your college experience and journey. There are people, we are higher education professionals. We've gone to school. We have master's degrees or PhD degrees in these areas to help and want to encourage you and support you through your college journey. We have our degrees. We want you to get yours. So we want to make sure we're helping you make campus as home as much as possible. So early arrival programs. I'm a big advocate for early arrival programs. It helps you learn the campus. It helps you get connected to faculty and staff, with peers. Sometimes there are different programs that are connected to financial aid. You get to meet with a financial aid counselor. There are even different programs where you're meeting with other students from your same city or from different areas. Those are just really programs to get you acclimated to the institution. Students are always looking for peer-to-peer mentoring. So definitely sign up for any type of mentoring program. Some mentoring programs, some early arrival programs have funding associated with them for scholarships for your education, even not for your first year, but even sometimes for your second year. So looking into those and researching those and signing up for those as early as possible. Learning communities at different institutions help make the institutions smaller and really give you a sense of home. So at the institution I work at, I work at a pretty large institution. So these different learning communities really focus on like-minded people interested in the similar aspects as you, living together in the residence hall, doing different programming together as well. Sometimes these programs go on trips. They'll bring in speakers. They'll help prepare you for that transition to sophomore year, and they'll really be that support unit for you during your first year. So anytime you check that university email through that portal and you get an email or advertisement of, hey, you should sign up for this program or this or that program, do it. It's okay. Do it, try it out. If it isn't something for you, it's okay to talk to that staff member, that professional, and say, what other opportunities and options are there for me? You want to connect with people outside your major and inside your major. Your academic advisor, I mentioned earlier, that's one of your go-to people. There are people that specifically work in student life, and your hall director, RA means resident assistant. They're all there to support you as you transition into high school. So all the information that we're telling you about disability services and financial aid, and you should do this, these are go-to people that can help answer those questions. Remember, there's no silly question when you are making this transition from high school to college. There are apps out there that institutions have, there are workshops, there are student organizations that all can help you learn all these different pieces to the puzzle. So when you are ready to make that step to your sophomore year and beyond, you're even more informed and you can be a mentor to those students coming in. So it's a really nice cycle of having an idea of how to engage and connect and really dedicate yourself and become a leader when you're transitioning into the institution. And we love our jobs. We wouldn't be doing any of this if we didn't love working with college students. That's why I stayed in higher ed. I love working with college students. Sometimes people think I'm a college student myself. So you also want to know where the different resources are, and that's where all these different programs can really help you. The tutoring aspects, there's in-hall tutoring, there are different cultural centers across every institution that have tutoring. Those are really some big homes. Find your home, find your niche, find your support group, find your people. If you have an alum, if you know of an alum that works or that graduated from an institution, connect with them. If you don't know anybody, that's okay. Connect with your RA, connect with your advisor, connect with your roommate. There are just so many different pieces that really every institution want to make you feel that this is your home. So not just to get you here and get you in classes, but retain you and to become a great alum of whatever institution it is for your undergrad, grad, and beyond. And so we are all proud alums of all of our institutions because of the experiences we had when we were able to make it home. And in this COVID era, institutions are prepared and are preparing and have been pivoting different programs from early arrival, mentoring, everything that we've talked about so far to make it home even in COVID, whether it's social distancing or making programs more virtual or meeting students in different time zones because of the virtual environment. So there are COVID accommodations. So if you do have concerns about anything of that nature, ask your institution those questions. You know, I'm looking at this institution, I've been accepted, I want to make this institution my home. What are the COVID accommodations that your institution is looking at? So you just want to make sure you're asking those questions, and feel free to reach out to us and ask us questions too. Next slide.
The student experience. So to maximize your student experience, please be sure to get involved and stay engaged. Attend welcome events, attend campus events, whether it's virtual or in person, safely. So this will allow you to, to receive information firsthand and allow you to meet new people, meet those who are sponsoring events. And it shows that you're taking your educational experience and your interactions very seriously. So participate and attend student organization events as well. These organizations, they plan informational sessions with topics that impact the student body and the community, and they can also help you get acclimated as incoming students. And it also allows you to, meet the coordinators and meet students who've been there, for a number of years and can share their experiences with you as well. And by participating with these organizations and events, you can add your voice. You can, show your interest. You can join these organizations as well and lend a hand and also make an impact for the students that are coming after you as well. And in terms of working on campus, find a job, find a job that could be related to your major, or find a job that you can add value to, or an impact, or a work study. So the key to the interaction and engagement, it basically sets the stage for your, networking through your college years, interacting with professors, interacting with study groups and social groups. It just helps prepare you as you, after graduation, you want to be networking and finding a job. So these people are key in your development throughout the time that you're there, and even after you graduate. Next slide, please. Connecting with your peer groups on social pages, social media, Instagram, GroupMe, as well as, student emails and panels. Please be sure to, check your student email. Please be sure if you are interacting with these types of pages, pay attention to the communication. So your social media, interaction is basically, it's there. So what you put out there is out there. So, please be sure to use it appropriately and responsibly because it follows you. So you could be looking for your job after graduation, or you could be looking to go to law school or to pledge a sorority or fraternity or participate in ask us, have a scholarship or, trying to get a scholarship or a fellowship, and they check your social media throughout your years and previous years prior to. So please be sure to make sure you maintain that. It's very important to note that that they are looking and that those are they're looking at your interaction out there. But use these groups to make connections. They can become lifelong connections, and they can also be, connections for jobs. They could be connections for the next phase, whether you're going to get postgraduate work or, to get your master's. So, and you need someone to, have a reference or someone to speak for you or to refer you to an organization. So please be able to use these groups responsibly. Next slide, please. Do we have any questions?
Let me, this is Tara Johnson. And one of the points that I neglected to make in regards to the financial aid and your bill is that if you do have if your financial aid does not cover your entire bill, please know that the cash management or bursar's office is willing to make some type of payment plan with you. So if you see the bill, don't expect to have to pay that bill upfront right then and there. Know that the financial aid office and the cash management or bursar's office will make payment arrangements. So don't be nervous if you see that bill.
Are there any other questions out there? If you do have any, you can put them in the chat, or you can just come off the screen if you'd like. We even put a survey in there just to get your feedback as we've been doing these workshops throughout the year. It's also helpful for us to know as we continue to plan for workshops in the future. So we'd appreciate you doing that survey. But we are here if there are any specific questions that we can answer for you. If you are somebody who's already been admitted to college and looking to make that transition, anything that you're anxious about or anything that we can address. If you've not yet been admitted to college and you're a junior and you're just going through this process, this is all really good to know so that you'll be ready to go when you do get to that point of being admitted to colleges. But we certainly want to answer any specific questions you have at this point.
Okay, this is Miss Green. My daughter is at work, so I thought I would just tune in to see what what was being featured on this evening's agenda. And I have been like in direct contact with a representative for one of the the school she's thinking about going to, and I have had the hardest time getting answers through that school. So I had asked about her award letter. Had they started giving those out? And I was told they were. And then she had stipulated that something wasn't, they didn't see something on her, they didn't get something through her FAFSA. So I went back in to make sure that they were added, which I had the number from the letter, what they wanted us to use, and all of that stuff had been done. So I emailed her back and I said, well, I see that you guys are on here, and everything is fine, it's been submitted. So then she asked for her name and date of birth, and I gave her that information, but I never heard back. So it's been kind of hard for me to do a lot of double checking because their working hours is my working hours. But I have been doing a lot of communication through email, and I just have not had the greatest success with getting a reply. So I'm kind of stuck in that process as far as getting her award letter so that we can see what she qualifies for, or what they're offering. It's just been a back and forth email battle, but I'm just not getting the response that I need for her to determine if this is the school she wants to truly like go with.
Has she received award letters from any other school?
Yes, she's received 7 so far.
Okay. What I would do is the problem 9 times out of 10 is there are more students than there is enough employees.
Mm-hmm.
And my advice is keep emailing, keep hounding, and make sure that you're going to the same person each time.
Mm-hmm.
Once you, and that's another big advice for the financial aid and anybody on a college campus, really go back to the same person and build a relationship with that person, especially in the financial aid office. Once you've built that relationship, that person knows you, that person knows your situation. And with money, it's really personal. It's not something that you want everybody to know. So if that person knows your situation and that person understands what's going on, then that person can better help you. So my advice is to find that one person there and keep asking and keep emailing. And I would prefer that you would email so that you have documentations of everything that's going on versus calling, because email has a trail. It has that trail of saying, I've emailed you on this date, this date, this date, and this date, asking the same questions. Please respond. Please tell me what's going on. And that email, that trail should should help. My other advice is that if you're not getting a response from somebody in financial aid, go to the director of financial aid, email them, go to the vice president of finance, and then go to the president. A squeaky wheel is the one that gets greased. So continue up the chain.
The one thing I was
you.
Yeah, the one thing I was also going to say was if there is a deadline approaching that where you've got to, the bills are due and you've got to make your first payment or what have you, you do need to make sure that you escalate that, because if there's something that's incorrect that needs to be changed or fixed, you want to make sure that happens, so that if that certainly is the institution that your child has decided to attend, you can get everything taken care of on time. But you do want to be able to see all the financial aid awards from all the colleges as you're making a final decision, if you're at that stage too. So it is important, to press the issue so that you get that information back.
I would also say check the student portal. If your daughter has been accepted, and what they talked about earlier, the student portal, sometimes there are messages from the different departments that go to the student. It may be on a bulletin board or an activity feed in their portal, and see if they've posted anything there. I know sometimes with financial aid, a lot of families are selected for verification, and that will typically require that you have to submit additional documentation. And so something like that could be in that activity chain or the activity feed, and they're just waiting for you to provide those additional documents. So again, we're giving you really broad, without knowing all of the specifics of what's going on. But I would check that portal to see if there are any additional comments that they've placed there, in addition to what the others have said.
And remember, they are probably contacting your daughter through the university email versus contacting you, because the reality is that at this point your daughter is the adult and the one who is responsible for the bill. And I know that hurts. I know that's hard. That's your baby. And I understand that. But the reality is that at this point, in the eyes of the university, he's an adult.
Yes, and so that's where we actually been like she's been looking is in her portal, her setup with them to
Mhm.
see if this information has been posted. I mean, because again, I definitely know, what you're saying as far as them contacting her directly because well, she ain't 18 yet, but she'll be an adult by the time she goes to school. But and I definitely get what they were doing. I mean, because I have a son in college, he's in his second year, so I know that that's what they do unless they authorize that. But she's been looking in there, so that she, in case they did answer her or they did send what was needed, or if anything was like the one lady had said that if something was missing or anything like that, she would be able to know or see or go in there and do it. So she has been checking that. I just don't want, if that is a school that she's like looking at or possibly putting at the top of the list, I don't want her to feel like, okay, well, I'm not really getting responses now. When I'm going to the school, am I going to have to do the same thing? So I don't want that to, be a factor or of her decision making for that school. So
It sounds like she's probably been chosen for verification, which every school, it just because you're chosen at one school doesn't mean you're going to be chosen at another school. So, and that's what it sounds like. So just be prepared for um, additional documents to be needed.
Do we have any other questions at this point? Anything else anyone has questions on? If not, we want to thank you so much for coming out this evening, and we appreciate you attending. Hopefully everybody had an opportunity to fill out the survey. Again, that helps us as we're planning future workshops, but we definitely appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to spend some time with us. So thank you so much. Anything else, Madam Chairman, that you'd like to share with them?
No, I would just like to say thank you so much for coming out. And also, the email that you received the link from, you can always email any questions to that come up after today. As you are preparing to make that transition, you can always email that hashtag CAP email address, and we will address your emails and answer them for you. So. All right, but thank you so much for your time, and you get 10 minutes of your life back. So thank you for joining us this evening.